listening to Give God 90, where we're not afraid of the tough biblical questions, because we will dig through the language, the culture, and the history to find the truth revealed in the words of our Creator.
Happy Thursday, everybody. We're so glad that you're spending some time with us today, or letting us spend some time with you, however that works. Well, I guess since you're in control of your app on whatever device you're listening to, you're allowing us to spend some time with you. Doesn't it feel nice to be in control? I am being closely monitored tonight.
Hello, everyone.
Supervised.
Monitored.
Everybody knows I need to be supervised. Don't forget, if you go to Give God 90, you can check out all the good stuff there. The books are there for you to look at. And, get one or all three and read them. They're available. Why not utilize them? If you like what you hear, the share buttons work really good. The like buttons work really good too. We appreciate all of those. It kind of makes it easier for other people to find us, boosts us up in the analytics and all that good stuff. Before I start tonight, something came across one of my news feeds, and it just, sometimes you read something and you just shake your head and you wonder, why do we even try anymore? What is it really worth it? Is anybody getting anything out of this? And I read this and I thought, I know I've talked about this before, and here we go again. This is from the BBC News. The writer was Peter Gillibrand, and it came out on Valentine's Day, February 14th of this year. The headline: Canterbury Disco. Parties can get more people to visit church. I'm going to quote something from the article here. When you think of a church or cathedral, the thing that might not come to mind is it being the thing that might come to mind is it being a place and time for self-reflection. But lately, there have been a series of silent discos taking place in cathedrals and historic buildings around the UK and Europe. I love the idea of people dancing on a Saturday night and praying on a Sunday morning. I think we can do both, the Reverend Jessica Fellows tells BBC Newsbeat. The disco-loving vicar is a self-proclaimed Harry Styles fan who uses her church, notice it reads her church, to organize silent discos as well as beer and carols events. The more the merrier. We need people to come in and have fun. It's not all boring and serious, she says. End quote. Now, if you don't know what a silent disco is, it's a place where you wear headphones so nobody actually hears the music except the people wearing the headphones. So if you watch a video of this, it looks like a bunch of people dancing to nothing. It's just kind of silly.
It is.
Now, I don't have a problem with dancing, even during the music portion of a worship service. Okay, remember, David danced before the Lord, right? He danced in front of the Creator. Now, what I do have an issue with is trying to use entertainment to attract people to a particular church or event, where it's not typically going to be for entertainment, if that makes any kind of sense to you. Some modern churches have become really nothing more than a social club. People go there, they think it's a safe place, it's a church. It's safe entertainment. And we're really giving the wrong impression, right? If the vicar really thinks that people who come on a Saturday night are going to come back Sunday morning to worship, she's actually part of the problem. That's typically not going to happen. Young people today are influenced by social media instead of parents and concerned adults in their lives. Young people are influenced by the drug culture instead of learning to live the way our Creator designed them to live. Young people are influenced by entertainment instead of reality. And both young and old are searching for truth and reality. And they should be able to find that in our places of worship. Problem is, too many modern churches are attempting to become places of entertainment before becoming places of instruction. I like being entertained. I like a good movie of the venues that I watch. But, the reality is that comes after the work's done, right? Once your work's finished, then it's time for entertainment, and it's time to relax. Now let's put this into a little bit of perspective. Would you want a surgical team to operate on you or a loved one if they treated it like a party? Think about that. And I know that there's a lot of humor involved in surgical teams, then there has to be a certain amount to relieve tension. But if they treated the whole thing like a big party, is that who you really want working on you? Maybe you're in a little bit of trouble with, the law wherever you might live. Would you trust a judge to offer a just decision if the trial were nothing more than a venue for entertainment? Probably not. So why then do some modern churches offer the same type of atmosphere that caused Solomon so much trouble? Certainly somebody in those churches must have read the Bible at some point in time in their life. Many, many societies today around the globe have switched from business before pleasure to let's party before work. There's a lesson in the Bible about what happened to Aaron's sons when they chose to party before they offered the incense. And the Almighty was not happy. He struck them down. He killed them. Told Aaron, don't ever let this happen again. Unfortunately today, there are a lot of people who show up to their jobs or school in a condition that inhibits productivity. And pastors, you need to think about these things before you allow a party in your church without first making sure that what you're providing is based on a sound biblical principle. And again, there's nothing wrong with entertainment. There's nothing wrong with dancing in its appointed time. But we need to be aware, we need to be certain that the emphasis is first on learning in these places and not first on entertainment. and some of this leads me into what I want to talk about tonight. And that really is what happens when believers give the wrong impression. What happens when maybe it's a Jewish archaeologist and he's talking about the earth being millions of years old. He's talking about, the Stone Age and the Iron Age and the Bronze Age and all of this, like it happened over several thousand years, not just a few thousand years. Well, for one, that archaeologist is challenging the biblical timeline, the Creator's timeline. What happens, when entire Christian denominations choose to include evolution? Well, they corrupt the sacred word of our Creator. It's that simple. Let's get a little more personal. What happens when the average believer chooses to look the other way when they see sin? You see, they're obscuring the word of our Creator, and it confuses the people around them who are attempting to find truth. Like I usually do, we're going to go back into Scripture, and we're going to see an example of somebody who is faithful, but they start to have some questions. They start to falter a little bit. They question some things. Go ahead and read that.
No one stretches out his hand to a ruined man when he cries for help in his distress. I have not wept for those in trouble, as my soul not grieved for the needy. But when I hoped for good, evil came. When I looked for light, darkness fell. I am churning within and cannot rest. Days of affliction confront me. I go about blackened, but not by the sun. I stand by the assembly and cry for help. I become a brother of jackals and a companion of ostriches. My skin grows black and peels. My bones burn with fever. Job 30, verse 24 through 30.
Yes, even Job starts to have some concerns, right? Now we know he's faithful, but he's saying, is it worth it? He's probably thinking, why bother? Why, is what I'm going through really, really worth this? Now, Elihu begins to try and make things right, but he doesn't have the understanding and faith that Job has. He offers, in fact, I think there's a couple of chapters of what he says. And, he tries. He tries. We got to give him credit for trying. But then, guess who steps in and begins to set the record straight? Go ahead and tell us about that.
Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, Who is this who obscures my counsel by words without knowledge? Now brace yourself like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me. Job 38, verses 1 through 3.
Okay. Our Creator, now I'm going to be very blunt about this, okay? Our Creator is telling Job, get yourself ready. You need to suck it up, Buttercup, because I'm going to tell you the way it really is, and then I'm going to ask you some tough questions, and you better get the answers straight. You better give me the right answers. You better tell me and show me that you get this. And we're gonna look at a couple of verses here that help put Job in his place.
Who enclosed the sea behind doors when it burst forth from the womb? I made the clouds its garments and thick darkness its blankets. When I fixed its boundaries and set it in place, its bars and doors, and I declared, You may come this far, but no further. Here your proud waves must stop. Job 38, 8 through 11. Have you entered the storehouses of snow or observed the storehouses of hail, which I hold in reserves for times of trouble, for the day of war and battle? In which direction is the lightning dispersed, or the east wind scattered over the earth? Job chapter 38, verses 22 through 24.
So, Job, as he starts questioning. The Almighty steps in and he says, let me ask you a few things here, Job. Who did these things? Were you there? Did you see it? These questions and more actually remind Job of who the Almighty is, how powerful our Creator is. Our Creator's speaking about His creation. And the verses of chapter 38 and 39, they contain some of the most scientific answers in the Bible. Job finally gets it. Job never really questions his faith. He just wants to know, is what I'm going through worth it? And the Almighty says, yeah, it's worth it. Because I'm doing it, and whatever I do is worthwhile. And you need to remember that. When Job finally figures it out, when he finally submits, listen to his reply.
Then Job replied to the Lord, I know that you can do all things, and that no plan of yours will be thwarted. You ask, who is this who cancels my counsel without knowledge? Sure, I spoke of things that I do not understand, things too wonderful for me to know. You said, listen now, and I will speak. I will question you, and you shall answer me. My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. Therefore I retract my words, and I repent in dust and ashes. Job chapter 42, verses 1 through 6.
Did you catch that? I know you can all do all things. You ask, who is this who conceals my counsel without knowledge? When we give the wrong impression as believers, we conceal the Almighty's counsel because we don't understand it. We don't get it. And as faithful as Job is, he repents. He says, I need to change. Now, you could say that Job had a come to Jehovah meeting, right? I'm sure most people have heard of a come to Jesus meeting. Yeah, Job went straight to daddy. He didn't get to talk to the son. He got to talk to the Father. The Creator had made things plain to Job. Job's, he didn't only hear it. He says, my eyes have seen. Now, of course, that's a figure of speech. And what he's really saying is, I finally understand. And I've got to change. I've got to figure it out. I finally know what you're trying to tell me. It's not about me. It's about you. So my question for pastors, rabbis, and, well, really even secular scientists out there is kind of simple. When will you see with your eyes? When will you understand? When will you get it? Now, my question for the average believer, if there is such a thing as average believer, is kind of the same. When were you going to figure out that overlooking sin gives the wrong impression? You're concealing the sacred word of our Creator, and it is something you need to repent for. We should be encouraging others to live the way that we're designed to live. And we can't do that by talking them to death. We can't do it by preaching at them or by offering them entertainment. We teach others to live the way they're designed to live by living the way we are designed to live ourselves. You can be faithful. You can even be righteous. But if you're setting a poor example, it's useless. James tells us the demons believe and tremble. The demons tremble because they're not living the way they're designed. They're living in conflict with the Creator. Are the things that you're doing every day benefiting the people around you, or do they benefit yourself? Do you go to your job or go to your school, maybe even visit a friend in a condition that's not productive? Think about that. I spent 1 or 2 episodes on the fruit of the Spirit. And Paul said that the fruit of the Spirit is a direct result of our actions. When the list that Paul gives us is a partial list. And each of the things he mentions benefit the people around us, not ourselves. Who benefits from overlooking sin? I don't know of anybody that benefits from overlooking sin. When I ask this question, you may say, I do, but who benefits from offering dessert before you get a healthy meal? Would you give a hungry child a candy bar before you gave them something healthy to eat? I know a lot of people would because, it's sweet. It's like, but that's not the way it works. I've talked to people who have been, I don't want to say lost in the woods for a couple of days. They kind of knew where they were, but not really.
Kind of disoriented.
They spent some time seeing the same scenery over and over again. Let's put it that way. When they finally made it out, they were hungry. And, they didn't get dessert. In fact, they didn't get everything they wanted either. You don't give somebody in that situation, you give them water, but what you don't want to do is give them so much food that it makes them sicker, right? They're already worn down. They're stressed. You want to make sure that you give them a little bit and then a little bit and then a little bit. You don't want to give them dessert before you give them something healthy. And people out there today are starving for the truth. Who actually benefits from pleasure before business? Maybe I don't know if I want to say this or not. Yeah, I'm going to say this because I know it's happened. Would you let a drunk doctor operate on you? Would you allow a drunk judge to sit at your trial without saying to your attorney, hopefully, I think we need a different judge? Who benefits when scientists or denominations say and do things that conflict with the sacred word of the Creator? It certainly isn't mankind. Certainly not the Creator. Who benefits? The only one that's going to benefit when we give the wrong impressions is the enemy. It's Satan himself. It's that simple. So be very, very careful when people see you. You are the example to them. You might not realize it, but when you say, I am a believer, or when you say, I'm not sure God would want to see that. I'm not sure that would please God. People are going to look at you different. And they're going to watch you like a hawk. They're going to look for you to do something wrong. They're going to look for you to do something they think is wrong. Don't give the wrong impression. Live the way you're designed to live. And by the way, the experiment I mentioned in the last episode, if you tried that, has the container in the freezer even made one molecule of water yet? I kind of doubt it. And if you missed that episode, go back and listen to it. It's a really easy, simple, not very scientific experiment, to be honest with you. But it's just something that you can try, and you can disprove the Big Bang Theory with it very easily. Well, unless you've got about 14 or 20 billion years to wait. I'm not sure you have that long. But you can try. So, until Monday, we wish you many, many blessings, everyone.
Yes, we do.